Welcome to Talking Hoosier Baseball. We are recording this on Monday, February 17th, 2025. I am Carl James, joined by Josh Bennett, Chris Feeney, Cassidy Palmer, and IUBase.com writer Zach Horwitz. Opening weekend did not go well for the Indiana Hoosiers. For a team with stated super regional aspirations, they struggled against mid-major competition and then were simply outclassed by number 7 Oregon State. The first and last innings of the weekend featured UNLV grand slams that produced the winning runs in 2 games for the mid-tier Mountain West program. Saturday saw the Hoosiers lose a dogfight to a familiar foe in Xavier, and Sunday the Hoosiers barely escaped being no-hit by a pair of JUCO transfer pitchers for number 7 Oregon State. The 0-4 start matches the start from 2022, Indiana's only losing season since 2007. I don't think I'm going to go out too much on a limb to say that 0-4 was not really in any of our heads as a possibility going into this weekend. But at the same time, we look back and say, boy, this looked like 3-1, even in hindsight, was actually a possibility based on how things shook out. But in the end, it ended up being 0-4. So we're going to start this one by just ripping the Band-Aid off. And given that Josh doesn't join us very often, I'm going to go ahead and pick on him, and he'll start with the group off on just what happened this weekend.
Yeah, Carl. I mean, 4-0 or 0-4, not good. UNLV 4-2 loss, grand slam first inning. Other than that, the pitching was outstanding. We had bases loaded 2 or 3 times and just didn't get the job done. And then against Xavier, Jolly hit that home run to get us to extras, and that's a 2-run game also. OSU, to get them lose to them 6-0, that's not, that's a top 10 program. So that's not awful. Today was kind of a kick in the teeth. You get it to extras after you get down. You get that big home run from Dickerson, and then give up the grand slam and just did not finish. But 0-4 is not what we were even thinking at all. And again, Xavier and UNLV are not big programs, but they were fairly competitive this weekend. I think the starting pitching was an absolute great showing from them. That's an encouragement. We know this team's going to hit. The coaches will get them to hit. So, my takeaway, it's 0-4 looks bad, but we know they're close and can get something cooking.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
I mean, obviously frustration. Uh, just so many base runners. It was like a tease all weekend long. Like, we'd have so many guys on, and the Indiana's had the leadoff runner on for the last 4 innings,
Yep.
or they've left the bases loaded 2 innings in a row. Like, those announcers were just getting on my nerves because they were just pointing out, obvious reality of what was happening. It was just the opportunities were there. It was just like we just couldn't make it happen. Sometimes I'd rather the Oregon State. That game never seemed winnable to me, and yet all the other ones did. The way you said, like, it could have been 3-1 us. Obviously, it could have been, especially getting 2 starts like that from Seabolt and Gilly, and I don't know. It was frustrating. I did not like it. I did not expect it. And to just the expectations are there. You're waiting the whole off season. You're doing the countdown. You're going to media. You're getting ready, and then you kind of get slapped in the face with almost so close. And yeah, but you know what I mean. That's what it was. Yeah, but we had a lot of guys on, but you didn't get them in. And but Jolly tied it with a great home run. Yeah, but then we lost in the 10th. It's rough. So definitely frustration. There's some highlights from the 4 games, of course. There always is something, but not to say, frustration, obviously, man. It was like, what's that thing with Charlie Brown? They keep pulling the ball away, It was like it was right there. We couldn't do it. And it was over and over and over. It felt like it was like death by 1,000 cuts. And the other guys, every time they had a 2-out, they would take advantage of it.
Yep.
I mean, any time they had a chance, and they would take advantage, and we couldn't.
How many balls did they fist off over Cerny or into the outfield with?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
ground ball singles.
Well,
ground ball singles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Weekly hit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
well,
now about that, at least I will say, I did at least have some concern that the other teams were doing a better job at placing fielders.
mhm.
I mean, I could also be completely off. It could have just been dumb luck. But Cass, you were saying?
Well, and I was kind of along those lines of, it sounded like I was audio only this weekend, and it sounded like there was a lot of dumb luck going against the Hoosiers this weekend. There were bad plays, made play, all of that, but like the double play ball from
The
Cerny
pitcher
in the first inning, where the pitcher, like it's just dumb luck. There's
behind his back, off his head.
Right. Like that, you can't do anything about that. If the luck is going that way, the luck is going that way, and there's nothing to do about that.
Nope.
It was quite the conspiracy, though, because it never. I mean, even when they didn't know how many outs there were, and the dope spikes the ball, we can't get a run out of that. We got no advantage in that. If we would have done that this weekend, 2 runs would have scored.
Yep.
It's just the way it was going, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of balls.
It's baseball.
Should have been thrown.
Oh, yeah.
We made some throws we shouldn't have, and gave up some runs we shouldn't have. Those are physical errors, but maybe they're mental errors too, because you got to have the wherewithal to say, just eat the ball, put it in your pocket.
Yeah,
and that did happen late, and
Yep.
that was a good call on his part, eating that throw from third to not make it worse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but it seemed like, and I'm one, especially week one, I'm assuming that Surprise is a dirt field. I don't see why it wouldn't be. I am always more forgiving of errors and mistakes in week one, because week one is almost always sloppy to a T. And we've talked about it before. But to me, it was some of the mental errors or attention to detail that mistakes that were not errors. Oliver dropping the ball on the stolen base, what should have been a caught stealing. I know there was at least one or two where Denny should have had a play on it in the outfield.
Yes.
And didn't. Those started to add up.
On the first game, sure.
Yeah, those started to add up a lot more than I think I was expecting with this team. And some of it, I'm going to say at least some of it comes down to Brock Tibbetts is not manning first base anymore.
No.
Hanley is phenomenal, especially as a freshman coming in. But Brock minimized a lot of errors in his time.
Yeah.
And I don't think we appreciated it. I don't think we appreciated it enough.
No, probably not. Just like we don't. I think we're going to be really appreciating Josh when he's not playing third base, because he makes plays that we have not seen there since DeMuth was over there.
Yep.
And makes some routine. When he makes an error, you're blown away. So yeah, with Hanley at first, that's going to be a work in progress. They want his bat in the lineup. He's just learning he's learning the position.
Yep.
So that's going to take some time. There will be some learning curve to that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's picking pretty good on turf. To your point, I think so I think that learning curve is going to be pretty quick, though.
Yeah.
Yep,
he's going to get.
So.
I mean, I'm pretty sure where they're going this weekend is going to be dirt too. So he's going to get more reps on dirt, and I know opening weekend of the league is on dirt, which I'm not thrilled about, but
but yeah, and like we said, there are some good things to pull out of it. 30 walks in the first 4
Yes,
games.
absolutely.
That's you. And while 40 strikeouts is a touch higher than I want in general for a 4-game series, it's not outrageous. And in fact, the best offensive performance was the highest strikeout game of the 4. Like,
Yeah.
but with 30 walks and
only 15 walks for the opponents.
right, like there are definitely some things to
That's a bit of
build
a
off of.
that's a bit of a difference from what we're
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah,
Right, very much so.
We need to get Zach in here. Zach.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll recap this pretty quickly. Four games that they lost. We said they could have won 3 of them. The one that sticks out to me, the statistic is 6 for 36 with runners in scoring position. That simply cannot happen. They lost 2 games by 2 runs and 1 game by 1 run in the end today. So 6
Yep.
for 36. I mean, you're not going to win ball games like that, and they were close.
Nope.
Could have won all of them. It was also untimely pitching to hitting. When you look at the first game, Gavin Seabold, he let up 3 consecutive singles and a grand slam, and Indiana's pitching staff, including Seabold himself, went on 27 consecutive outs without
Absolutely.
allowing a run and still lost the game. So they didn't score when they pitched well, and they didn't pitch well when they were hitting the ball. So, and also, I guess you just got to look at it. Seabold and Cole Gilly both did a great job on the mound. Outside of that first inning for Seabold, it was a phenomenal start.
Yep.
So when they're on, the bats are going to start going. I think there's no reason to hit the panic button. The top order of the lineup, top half of the order, did not do much this weekend. And then back to the point we were talking about before, 7 errors from the field isn't too bad, I guess, considering the first weekend they hadn't been outside much. So, I mean, 0-4 is not where you want to be, but they easily could have had a much better weekend. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not the worst thing in the world because they're going to put it all together.
Yeah. Agree, Zach.
Yep.
That's a great take.
The season's a marathon, not a sprint.
I mean, we sat through the Clemson sweep, right? We were there for all 3 of those games, and those were a lot worse than this.
Oh,
Yep.
You know, I think there wasn't you couldn't even look forward, right? That was the last 4 losses in a row. Then we lost to Arkansas.
Yeah.
The first game in the next weekend.
Yep.
And I think we just sat there like speechless.
Mhm.
Like, what is going on? Yes, we gave a good fight on the Sunday game against Clemson. But those first 2, we were just like, I think we got outscored by like 25 runs.
It was a tidal wave. I mean, there was nothing you could do about it. It was going to happen, and the crowd was rocking. And
yeah.
This was different. This was, we had our chances. We had opportunities.
Yep.
Great point by Zach, though. We really didn't have that many shutdown innings.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to finally get some runs. You got to throw some zeros up. Definitely more today. I thought. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Gilatisi, is it? Those 3 innings were huge.
Gubatasi.
Gubatasi.
Yeah.
That was. I mean, he just changed the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
They had
was
scored
great.
7 in 2 innings, and then they had nothing.
Yeah.
I tell you what, he was so much fun to watch. I don't know who paid for it to watch it. He is just sitting there shaking his head and slamming rosin bags, and he is very intense, almost to a fault. But it worked. It worked for no runs, 3 innings, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk. I mean, I'll take that.
Oh yeah.
Every day.
That's how Kelzer always was on the mound, the emotional pitcher, and it worked for him too.
Yep.
But to me, I think the big takeaway is, it sucked, but there were all the opportunities.
Yep.
And it's one thing if it's like if all of them had been like that Oregon State game where like nothing was happening on offense.
Right.
I'd be more concerned. But I think if you take out the 4th game to treat it more like a normal 3-game weekend series, I think the big takeaway to me was I was pleasantly surprised with the pitching through those normal, what would be a normal weekend series. I think today got away from them a little bit Um, but for a normal 3-game series, the pitching staff looked largely solid, and the spots where they kind of didn't were spots where like errors stacked up or things like that, and they were in trouble not of their own making. But that if the bats can get going, which given
They
the
will.
bats we have, they will. Some of these bats have a history of starting a touch slow. So all in all, did it suck? Yes. Do I expect it to continue sucking? No, not particularly.
And I also think, especially today, some of the pitching deployment decisions kind of snowballed on themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and they got forced into putting people into positions they did not want to put them in.
Yeah, I would agree.
We've seen.
And it's just sometimes it's just like, you know, I mean, I know that's not the situation I would have started the one freshman. I would have thrown the one freshman in.
Yeah.
And
You let him start an inning clean, at least.
but now you're stuck with no point because of just the way things shook out. So
Yep.
We knew this was going to be a bullpen day, and their opening weekend every year.
Yep.
You're going to get as many guys out there to give them time on the bump.
Yep.
And
see what you got.
Yeah, and just get their feet wet.
Yep.
So, and we know in a few weeks they'll have, nailed down these roles. But I think you look at the inning totals, and we've heard a lot of discussion, about Gillian Siebold, what they've done. Drew Burr was exceptional on Friday.
Yep.
And I know we're seeing a lot of people, talk on social media, and even with this, I think there's still like, why is it that there isn't as good a starting pitching, and it the college game is so different than the professional game that I think sometimes that doesn't translate that too well. But, it's possible, Burr is going to do what Bothwell did last year and basically force himself into a starting position, if and only because, well, hey, if he's able to throw 6 innings and the other two guys are able to throw 6 innings, the only way the math works is to put him in a different game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then you've also got guys on the pitching staff who are still, I wouldn't say rehabbing from injury, but still working back to full strength from injury. And I expect Grable to be able to go longer by the end of the season than he is right now. Like, that's just a matter of healing. And so I feel like we say it every year of typically don't judge the season on the first weekend, especially with a Mercer coach team where he is so focused on development that by the end of the season, they're there. Even if the first weekend is a bit more on the rough side. If we're still saying some of this stuff in a month, maybe reevaluate. But after one weekend, it happens. It's baseball.
Yep.
I mean, this is overreaction weekend, right? If you sweep,
yeah.
you're the best team in the country.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you lose, you're the worst team in the country.
Uh-huh.
But there is some stuff to be upset about. Again, you're watching games, you're listening to games, you blow leads. You're just going to be upset about it. It is going to rile people up. I get that, but we got opportunities now to get wins going forward.
Yep.
These are squandered opportunities. These are 3 wins I really think we should have had.
Yep.
We didn't get them.
Yep. And Chris, these are the ones that you need to get if you want to host a regional.
Man,
you can't be losing these.
Yep.
It's frustrating. We're playing mid-major teams.
That doesn't take us out of the tournament, but if you want bleachers at the BART, then these are the ones you have to get.
Yeah. Yeah, it really makes the hosting picture very tough now.
Yeah. We've seen crazier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the 2014 team started 2-5, so
Yep.
it's not that it's there's precedent.
Well,
Like 2-3 in the conference. is a
they
little
didn't.
different.
They didn't lose another one after that, though, did they?
Not for a long time.
Not for- yeah.
Then those guys went on a tear. But I can remember they couldn't hit for the first 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Right.
At all.
They could not hit any of them. And
At
we're
all.
talking about, Travis, Schwarber, DeMuth, those guys just
Oh yeah.
went ice cold.
Yep.
So it happens.
I just kind of wish there was another game like tomorrow. Like, now we got to wait. No, seriously. Because it's just like, just go again. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's get some more guys on base. This time, let's get them in.
Yeah.
Well, it was just
There's a
over and
game
over.
scheduled for Wednesday,
Now.
but we know that's not happening. So
Be a little brisk for that one.
yeah, anyone who's taking a look, well, not just that, the amount of shoveling that's going to have to be done off the BART to
True.
just to free the field up for it, because they're expecting an additional 2 to 4 inches on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
They're
no
not-
game for us.
they're not playing ball.
You're telling me February in Indiana is not a great time for baseball?
I think this is going to be the first time since they've started doing this, though, that they're going to cancel a game.
That is true. That
It
is true.
is.
That's
I mean, one of the games, it was like 65 and gorgeous.
Yes.
2,400 people there.
Yeah.
There was 2,400 people.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just not this week though.
no.
No.
Well, even a week like this, we celebrate what the Hoosiers did well. And Chris has got some hardware to hand out. So Chris, take it away with the red belts.
Thanks, Carl. For those new to the podcast this year, if you haven't been listening before, every week we give out awards. They're called the Red Belts. We have to do an offensive, a defensive, and a pitching award for the week. I don't know when it started that I picked these things, but it did. And I just kind of kept going with it years now. At the end of the year, we add them all up, and whoever gets the most pitching red belts wins what's called the Joey Donato Award for the year. The one who gets the most defensive red belts gets what's called the Tony Butler Award for the year. And the one who gets the most offensive red belts is the Alex Dickerson Award winner. So, we took some of our history and some of our guys and, named the awards after them. So for this week, for pitching, I mean, if you strike out 11 guys in 5 innings, you're going to be kind of high up there on the choice level. And so Cole Gilly obviously is going to be our pitcher of the week. Struck out the side in his first inning, struck out the side in the 5th, walking off. I was a little surprised he came out for the 6th, to be honest. I thought coming off the 5th with another striking out the side, they were going to kind of tell him, you're done. But he did come out for the 6th. There was the error in the double, and they took him out. So his line got a little worse there. But those first 5 were just rock solid. 11 strikeouts. And this was a 1-0 game until the 5th, right? We didn't get that second run until the 5th.
Yep.
So you're talking, he had no room for error, and he was really, really good.
Nails.
81 pitches it was total.
And Xavier's a good team.
Oh yeah, no, we said that. I mean, we said Xavier could be up for winning the Big East.
Well, and they gave Oregon State a game on Friday. So
yeah, they were winning late, right? I think like the 7th.
Yep.
So Gilly faced 20 batters, and he struck out more than half of them with the 11 Ks. So he gets the pitching award for the week, the pitching red belt. Let's see. For defensively, Cooper Malamazian. So I did learn how to say it. I knew I would when he would make some good plays. Honorable mention to Jason Oliver, but there's another one he's going to win anyway. So we give this one to Cooper Malamazian to play. He'd just gotten in the game in the 7th inning. There was that shot to his right. He dove, he got up, made the throw. I mean, I can't even imagine what's going through a young man's head when all that's happening. And he kept his cool and made the throw. It was a 4-2 game. And the way this whole damn weekend went, if that would have got by him, the next guy would have hit a home run. I know it. So something would have happened. So it was a great play by Cooper, and I think we got a real player there at third. He's the real deal. So for offensively, again, I think this one's pretty obvious. The jolt that Jason Oliver put in, I know I jumped right out of my seat. I said, come on. I couldn't believe it. We were tying this game up. 1-2 count. He went hunting for that curveball, and he got it deep left center field. And I thought we were winning the ball game. I'm going to tell you. So we got this one. And again, the frustration. I think we got another guy on in the inning, but we couldn't score, and it went to 10th. So those are going to be our 3 award winners. Now, something that we also just want to mention, since we did mention the pros, that these are the awards. Pro Bowl, we have a couple of announcements. we have Tommy Summer is going to be on Team Germany, which is the World Baseball Classic, and they're going to be trying to qualify. And Tommy Summers made that roster, so that's cool. We can follow him along pitching for Germany. We have 4 Hoosier alum that are going to be officially on 40-man rosters. That's Tanner Gordon, Kyle Schwarber, Timmy Herron, and Scott Efros. And then we have Kyle Hart just signed with the Padres, if you hadn't heard about that. And then something that Pro Bowl Hoosiers had passed along to me, we have 3 non-roster spring training invitees. So they're going to be in camp with the real play, with the pros. They're just not on a 40-man, and maybe they'll get dispersed to minor league camps. It's Craig Yoho, Jack Perkins, and Matt Gorski. So that's definitely something to watch for the spring training, right? We did have one retiree that I didn't know about. I don't know, maybe you guys had heard, but Jonathan Stever retired. So I hadn't heard that. Apparently it was a few weeks back. Maybe I missed it, but I wanted to pass that along. He was quite the highlight on the mound for us, and he did make it to the show, right? He pitched for the White Sox a couple times in the majors. So I just wanted to give a nod to Jonathan Stever. He's hanging it up. I'm not sure what business he's going into now, but as far as baseball, he's going to retire his career. So there you go. We got our red belts, Cole Gilly, Cooper Malamazian, and Jason Oliver for this week.
For once, I actually agree with your picks, Feeney.
Once in a while you do. Not too much.
Very, very rarely do I agree. But I think you nailed this week. I'll give you one.
I'll take it.
All right.
Well, as I said, we haven't heard anything official, but we're pretty sure Wednesday's game is going to be canceled. So we're not even going to bother previewing Purdue-Fort Wayne. But we do want to give a preview of this coming weekend in Cary, North Carolina. That will start on Friday, and Zach is going to get us started with the Northwestern preview.
Yep. So Northwestern is the first opponent of 3 at that beautiful USA Baseball complex in Cary, North Carolina. This game is against a conference opponent, but will not be counted as a conference game. The Northwestern Wildcats are led by second-year head coach Ben Greenspan, a former Indiana assistant for 6 years. He was a part of that 2013 College World Series group. He mentored then number 4 overall pick Kyle Schwarber, also developing top 3 round selections Josh Fegley, Sam Travis, and the 2010 Player of the Year in the Big Ten, Alex Dickerson. So he headlines a Northwestern team that enters the weekend 2-1. They went out west and took the final 2 games of the series from a historic national prominent team in Long Beach State. Game 1, they fell 19-6, and then came back the next 2 with a 6-2 victory and 4-3. So they won some close ball games. And in that first game, and likely to face Indiana, is left-handed pitcher Crawford Wade. He's a 6'4" grad transfer from Wake Forest. He had a tough start in that lone loss. He pitched 2.2 innings, so he'll be fresh. 5 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. I really doubt that Northwestern moves away from their opening day starter right away, especially considering that they have a doubleheader the day after they face Indiana. That's with Harvard and Fordham. It seems like a good matchup for him if you're Northwestern, as Indiana's productivity came from lefties and Devin Taylor and Jake Hanley. So on the offensive side, Northwestern only has 4 hitters with 7 or more at-bats on the weekend that are batting above 167. So you start off with a guy who can do it all, and that's Preston Knott. He is their leadoff hitter and their left fielder. He's off to a slow start, but can turn that around quickly. And then on to Northwestern's best player is their first baseman, Tyler Gaines. He transferred over from Oregon. He's 6 for 11 on the season with a team leading 5 RBIs. So the pitching staff really needs to land some off-speed pitches when they face him. I also want to point out Northwestern center fielder Jack Lausch. The name might sound familiar to some if you either were a football fan or hopped on the Indiana bandwagon at this time. He is the starting quarterback for the Wildcats football team. He played one of his best games against Indiana this past season. It was a 41-24 victory for the then 23rd ranked Hoosier football team. He passed for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns, picked up 34 yards with his legs. And on the baseball side, he was the former number 1 outfielder in the state of Illinois. He was committed to Notre Dame to play baseball, and then Northwestern gave him a football scholarship as well. So I would say if a ball finds its way into center field, maybe they shouldn't test the arm of Jack Lausch. So in that one, Indiana will look for its first win of the season against the Wildcats. That's Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern in Cary, North Carolina. So now we'll move it on to Cass, that she has game 2, which is against Fordham.
Yes, thank you, Zach. So the Fordham Rams, Hoosiers will be playing them Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And the Rams went over 3 on the weekend. They were also swept. Theirs was against ranked NC State, in the 13th to 15th range, depending on who you're looking at. But it's a little bit more of how they lost, which was 1-11, 2-12, and 6-19. And all of those were in fewer than 9 innings. They ended up, I'm not sure if it was a weather induced or what, but ended up playing a doubleheader Friday and then a single game on Saturday. So I'm not sure which of those were run rule settings, which were like scheduled doubleheader stuff. They might have all been run rules. So they're currently sitting at 0-3. Last year was not a great year for Fordham either. They were 19-33 on the year, 10-14 in the Atlantic 10 Conference. If it follows this past weekend and what I expect, Hoosiers will probably be facing Aiden Dowd. He's a sophomore righty who was part of the A10 all-rookie team last year. He had 49 Ks in 45 1/3 innings pitched, and had the team best ERA at 3.77 last year. This past weekend, however, he did give up 7 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings of work. He only walked 1, but he didn't strike out any. Kind of like with the Hoosiers, it was a rough offensive weekend for the Rams. They hit 208 as a team, and they struck out 25 times. But their 2 big bats did hit well at 333. Those bats are Daniel Buchiro, who's a junior third baseman. He was second team All A10 last year. Finished the year at 310 batting average. He's a decent power threat. Had 15 doubles and 9 home runs. He's also really fast. Stole 17 bases in 21 attempts. So don't be surprised to see him running. The other big bat to watch for is Kian Saylor. He's a junior center fielder. He led the team last year with 323 average, but he's not a super big power threat. He had 6 doubles and 1 home run. So you've got your power guy and you've got your consistent guy. What was interesting to me was he walked more often than he struck out. He's not one to swing at junk. He's gonna take whatever you give, and if what you give is a walk, he's gonna take it. So those are the big guys to watch for at the plate for Fordham. Now, Feeney, we're going back not quite to your New York, but getting close to your New York with your Harvard preview.
Yeah, it's funny. When I first got out here, my instinct was always like, oh, no, not New Jersey, not Boston. Like, I used to hate that. But now they're like my people, right? The whole East Coast is like, when you're on the East Coast, you don't like the Jersey people or the Philly or any of those guys. But it is funny how that works out. This Harvard team has not lost a game. Well, they haven't played a game, which is what it is. So it's opening day is going to be for them this Friday at the USA Baseball Complex. We get them on Sunday, 10 a.m. So it's a little breakfast with Ben, I guess, on the radio call. There is a video for this. It's at usabaseball.com, but it's a home plate camera, no announcers. So I watched a little of the Penn State game this weekend, and it's kind of rough. I'm going to be honest with you. So it might be a good weekend to hit the radio. So for Harvard, last year they were 13-26. Their two biggest wins were Penn State and the Citadel. They beat them each a game. So, I mean, call it what you want there. They did lose those series, but they each took a game. They had 5 balks on the season. I did notice that. So maybe we can keep this balk trend going. Even though they're so smart, they still had 5 balks on the year last year. 2 pitchers we might see. Sean Madsen, he had 3 wins last year. He had 3 ERA. He threw a complete game, which you don't see too much of anymore. So that did stand out. And he had 77 Ks in 63 innings. The other possibility might be Colin Fang. He also had 3 wins with a 4 ERA, but he had 83 Ks in 60 innings. So if we're getting one of those guys, these guys are going to, it looks like they're strikeout throwers, and we'll see what happens with that. As far as offensive, their best player, Ben Rounds, graduated, so we won't be facing him. Second best was George Cooper, who they now named captain. Hit 294, hit 12 doubles. It was 2 triples. So Cooper seems to be their best hitter now. They also have Matt Gibberti. He seems to be their steals guy. How Cass kind of mentioned the offensive and then another fast guy. He had 20 steals and 22 attempts, and he hit 278. So that's something to look at. This team, I don't know if they have the same personnel as last year, but last year stole 53 bases on 64 attempts. So if they get on, it looks like they're going to try to run. We'll see what happens. Jake can throw some guys out. TJ, we'll see what happens there. I mean, there's not much else really on Harvard. The game's 10 a.m. Like I said, there is a video feed, but I would go audio. Video is going to be rough. Stick with Ben, get some bagels, and hopefully we're going for the 3rd win of the weekend. We'll see what happens.
Well, I was actually able to sync up Ben with the video this weekend, and it was awesome.
Oh yeah,
At least from the video quality and Ben's audio were awesome. So
yeah, I mean, this is one solid camera behind the plate. It never moves. It reminded me of. Do you remember when we played at Minnesota at like the football field? Like that one camera just stayed put. It was really awkward, but it might be more of a radio weekend, and Ben does a hell of a job.
Yep.
So at least we can know what's going on as far as the games this weekend, and hopefully they won't be as frustrating as this weekend's were. We can get or come back to Reno.
Yep. I think that's a even with what we've seen, I think we know that's a legit possibility.
Absolutely.
And any thought we might have had about being concerned about the strength of the weekend, I think at this point there's some welcoming of the strength of the schedule of the coming weekend, chance for the team to get themselves reset and refocused before things get tougher quicker, and especially given that Big Ten season starts 2 weeks early this year, so not a lot of time left. All right. Any final thoughts anyone needs to share today?
I would just want to say, like you mentioned, there's been a lot of chirping on the internet, whether it's Twitter or Facebook groups and everything. And I'm all down. I'm from New York, man. I'm down with it. Say what you got to say. I'm cool with it. But let's give this team and this regime some time this season. It's 4 games. It's overreaction weekend. I totally get it.
Yep.
But get it off your chest and let's leave it there. Let's not get personal with people or players and coaches and stuff. Be upset with results, but let's leave it there.
Yep. I think there were some bright spots on offense. Some guys stepped up in the clutch offensively. The starting pitching, most of the relievers were really good. The stats show that. So to your point, Chris, don't overreact. We did not expect to lose 3 games this weekend, let alone 4.
No.
But you can't give up at this point. You can't throw those guys under the bus. You trust the coaches. We know their track record. They're going to get it done. I would ask Zach, you haven't had a lot of time on. I would like to hear your thoughts.
I think if they get half of the pitching that they got this weekend with the offense that we know that they're capable of, I think it'll be a 3-0 weekend. I think Indiana is the most talented team out of these 4. and I think it's gonna be a 3-0 week, maybe 4-0 if we can play the game Wednesday, which there's probably no chance.
Right.
But
Yep. Probably not.
3-0 week upcoming. I'm gonna tweet that out also, just so I have the receipts for it.
Nice, bro.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Now on as my closing thought, if they do play Wednesday, the ball hawk is the new bat boy at the Bart.
Ooh.
So it may be delayed a week or two. Zach, that's my son,
Yeah.
Andrew. And so he is the ball boy when we do get to play at the Bart. So that's a proud dad moment for me. But
Nice.
That is awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's a positive note for us to go out on as we conclude week 1 of Hoosier Baseball. So thank you all for sticking with us and listening to this episode of Talking Hoosier Baseball. For more on Indiana University baseball, hit up iubase.com. For Josh Bennett, Cassidy Palmer, Chris Feeney, and Zach Horowitz, I'm Carl James. See you at the Bart.